right away this morning because I've got a lot on my calendar. What I'm going to do is take these dishes that I repaired a few days ago, and I am going to put some flowers in them because I would like to be able to continue to use those. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple little stones down in these containers and then add just a little bit of potting soil in the bottom because these are pretty small containers. So there's not a lot of room for what's coming out of these pots. These are probably a little bit bigger plants than I would normally put in containers this size. But they'll be okay. They'll be okay. I normally would just take a start off of a plant I already have to save money. But in this instance, I did go out and purchase some little starts because I kind of, you get to the point when you keep repotting from what you already have, you get to the point where everything you have looks the same. And I'm kind of there, and I had a little extra money that I could actually go out and buy something a little different. And one time I had a prayer plant that I absolutely loved. It was beautiful. I had never seen one so big. I kid you not. It was like huge, huge. And I had it for several years. And then I think it got broken, I think, in a storm at one time. I think a dog that was afraid of lightning busted through a screen on our farmhouse and busted all my potted plants. I had a huge amount. But I'm using fairly large stones in these containers simply because there is no hole in the bottom. I could have taken a diamond drill bit and drilled through the bottom to allow for drainage, but I thought I might want to use these pots for, whoops, I'm going to have to take some of that out. I thought I might want to use these pots for, or containers, for something a little different maybe in the future. So I'm going to put some smaller rocks in there, and I'll just have to be careful about how much I water this, because we don't want their little feetses to get wet or to get too wet. So, and I'm just going to push this down. And yeah, I mean, normally I would go with something a little smaller in these pots as well because, flowers grow. And it won't take too long for them to outgrow these pots. But they'll be fine for now. And then I can repot them into other pots later. But for right now, these will be just fine. And it'll serve the purpose for illustration. And I might want to do something else with these pots a little later. So, put a little soil in the bottom there, not too much, because these plants are pretty well taking up all the space. And these, they're not terribly root bound, but they are getting a little root bound. Now this plant, it is just a little too big for this sugar bowl. So I am going to separate it. And I will put one in here. And I think that will be plenty in a little sugar bowl. And then I will put the rest in another pot that I have over here. Now normally I just continue to use my containers over and over and over again. This potting soil's really dry. It's been out in my shed for the winter, and I'm gonna have to add some water to that to get plenty of moisture in there. Now once I wipe these all off, they should be just hunky-dory fine. Whew, that wasn't a smart idea, was it? Okay. Now to take care of my other little pal, I'm going to just step over here and I'm going to grab this little itty bitty pot that I actually bought this one, which is rare because I usually don't go out and buy pots, but this one I actually purchased from Ollie's at $5.99. I went in there a few weeks ago. We'll put a stone over top the drain hole there to kind of help keep most of the soil in. But this one is drained. But every spring they tend to get some flower pots in, and so I'll buy one or two each year depending on how much money I have, because if you don't have money you shouldn't be out buying pots and things like that. So I anticipate every year that I am going to want to be potting flowers and doing flower beds, and so it's something I budget for. And if money is tight for you, you may not be able to do that every year. You may have to get yourself all lined up first before you have the money, but if you can afford it, it's fun. It's fun to go out and get just a special pot or two that that kind of brightens your day a little bit. And now these will need to get cleaned up, but those will be really cute on a tray somewhere once I wash them off and get them cleaned up. And we can just go ahead and stack those saucers, put our cup on top. And there you go. The only thing I spent money on to do this were the flowers I purchased. And like I said, I've got houseplants that I could have taken starts off and potted them as well. But the potting soil has been sitting in my shed over the winter. I bought it a year ago. Still fine to use it. There's nothing wrong with it. I always keep extra potting soil, or I will, most of the time I'll just take pots that I've had annuals in that have, the flowers have died in. I just put the pots with the soil, set them in my shed and leave them over the winter, because I never know when I might have a plant that needs to be repotted or whatnot. And you don't always have to go out and buy completely new soil to pot plants. As long as you are making sure they are fed on a regular basis, You can use old potting soil over and over again, and you can make your potting soil last by taking the old potting soil, adding new potting soil to it, mixing it all up. Then you've got a little bit of new potting soil in with the old. You can also, if you have houseplants that are starting to look like they need just a little extra something, like the pot's not too small for them, but they're not just doing as well, you can top dress it. You can take a little bit of the old out, then you can add some new in and just kind of top dress it, water them, and they'll be fine. But once you've used your old containers, your broken pottery, your whatever you find, an old bucket, an old pan, you can use just about anything to pot plants in that will save you money, as long as you have some form of drainage. And you can do that either by drilling holes in the bottom of the container, or putting a layer of stone or rock down below. Mostly you just need a place for the water to drain down so it doesn't keep their little toes too moist. But I've done this stuff for years and I love it. I mean, it's great to do something like this and then put it up in your house or out on a porch or deck, and not have your house look like anybody else's. My house is completely unique. I like it that way. And I'm sure if you try some of these things, you will too. If you're my age, you probably have already done some things like this. But sometimes it's a good reminder just to jog our brains and go, yeah, we can do that. Let's do something a little different. So I'm going to go ahead and give these guys a little bit of a drink and let them sit here and get all settled for a little bit. And then I'll decide what I'm going to do with them.